So today's discussion will be on pancreas and adrenal gland. Now, pancreas is actually called a heterocrine gland, and it is located at the backside of the stomach. Now, this gland is actually, it has two different purposes, two different way of executing its function. That's why it's called a heterocrine gland, because it has the exocrine property by which it has a pancreatic duct by which it secretes the digestive juices which are necessary for digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fat in the intestine region. Whereas at the same time, it also has got the endocrine system where it dispense all its uh, juices, that like all these hormones, different kinds of hormones, straight into the blood vessels that are running through it, and then by that it actually is able to like do that particular like endocrine type of function. So when we talk about the pancreas in terms of the endocrine system, so it has this specialized structure present within called the islet of Langerhans, which will be the one which is like colored in this particular sectional view of this pancreas. And alongside with it, we can see that the duct system that we pointed out for you. See, this is the duct system which is running right there, connecting with this particular different like this lobular structure we can see right there. They are known as the pancreatic acini, which are the place from where the digestive juices are secreted. So those are for the digestive juice secretion, and this area, this entire colored area, is what is known as the islets of Langerhans, a specialized group of cells that are present inside the pancreas, where we find that the production of the enzyme, or sorry, production of the hormones are taking place, and the blood vessels are responsible for carrying out all this secretion and distributing it to different target cells. Now, the different types of them that actually exist there will be of the alpha cell, the beta cell, and the delta cell. It's a simple diagrammatic view of the entire thing is shown here, and you can see they are being colored as the alpha being the green one, beta the purplish, and the delta the brown cells. So their purpose are they are going to secrete these three specific type of hormones. The alpha cell is responsible for secretion of glucagon. The beta cells are responsible for secretion of insulin. The delta cells are responsible for secretion of somatostatin. Now, the somatostatin is a polypeptide hormone, and it's mainly responsible for regulating the growth because it's just like it inhibits in a way the growth and development of the body. It induces the growth hormone inhibitor secretion, and not only that, it also regulates the secretion of both the insulin and the glucagon system. Means this particular hormone, instead of a promoter it is, or a stimulant type, it's rather an inhibiting type. Means it stops the process. Now, talking about the purpose of insulin and that of the glucagon, it is majorly responsible for regulating the body's blood, uh, like blood glucose level or blood sugar level. So how it happens, what happens, let's learn about it in slightly. So talking about insulin first of all is the one which is secreted by the beta cell, are actually a particular hormone which is responsible for uh, regulating the uptake of the glucose from the blood by the cells. Means insulin actually works directly with the cells that are, or the tissues that are there present, like where actually the main metabolism is going on. So this cells, the uptake of this glucose from the blood, it actually it induces that uptake. Means insulin, after binding with the cell, induces the cell to absorb or take in more and more amount of glucose inside. So that way it takes away a large quantity of glucose that is running through the blood, that is being carried by the blood. Now if there is any condition in which this is not being produced in proper quantity, then we find that the person, it actually suffers from accumulation of glucose in the blood, and this condition is what is known as the hyperglycemic situation. Now this hyperglycemic situation or the hyperglycemia is termed as the diabetes mellitus, is a condition in which we find there will be abundance of blood sugar, means a large abundance of sugar in the blood. So this condition, it's what it not only like it increases the blood glucose level, but at the same time it induces more production of urine, which is known as glycosuria condition, and even weight loss. Majorly, like what happened is the rate of uptake of glucose that normally we find with that of the body, means every target cells, every single tissue, uh, upon insulin delivery or upon receiving the insulin to those particular targeted cells, the way the glucose has it normally goes, we find in this particular stage where there is like less production of insulin, and due to which there is not that much uptake of glucose going on with that of the tissue. Now this is considered as bad because this will lead to accumulation of sugar in the blood. But this is one particular process, one particular type called the type 1 type of diabetes mellitus, where due to less production of insulin by the pancreas that we find this situation is occurring. There is actually a genetic type 2 type is also there, where we find that the glucose production, means the insulin production is actually normal, but the cell itself is, it doesn't have the proper insulin receptor with which the insulin is supposed to bind, inducing the uptake of the glucose. That particular receptor is not produced properly, so due to that, the insulin that is being produced properly is not getting not being able to transmit the signal to the cell because the proper receptor is missing. That creates a type 2 diabetes condition, and this is actually genetic. It's a condition which is from birth that we see, an inborn condition. See, actually, when the cell receives this signal of insulin, it immediately means that it needs to take in more amount of glucose, but right there that receptor is only not working, so there is no chance of that communication or message that they need to take more and more amount of glucose. It completely like stops that process. So what problem does it create? Well, any type of diabetic condition, we are going to find that the person is actually going to have a constant hunger. uh, the wound will not heal properly. There will be a like frequent urination, a condition known as glycosuria or diuresis, actually, which is diuresis is actually the condition of frequent urination, and glycosuria is actually presence of sugar in the urine, especially the glucose in the urine. So next there will be like a numbness of the hands and the feet, means any terminal region of the hand or the feet or any part of the body will actually have this constant tingling or numbness kind of sensation. This is due to the neurons are getting affected, means there is this condition is called the neuropathy of the autonomic nervous system, that is, or the peripheral nervous system also, which actually results in this particular condition. The person may gain weight, but usually we find that the person is actually uh, will have a frequent unexplained weight loss. There will be an increased chance of fungal infection, and upon continuous or even a higher diabetic condition, we find that there will be organ damage and also damage to the eyes, because the person will start losing the retinal vision and it will become blurry and all. So these are the symptoms of the diabetes that we majorly see that a person it suffers from. It is mentioned as type 2, but it is actually condition for both of them. Whereas this is the condition where the insulin is not being processed, or means actually the blood sugar level is increasing, the condition of hyperglycemia. there is actually a reverse process also there, which is the hypoglycemia, where the blood sugar level drops frequently due to maybe excess of glucose in the, excess of glucose intake by the cells due to excessive production of insulin. That is also possible, and that may lead to like excessive sweating and complete like loss of sense or consciousness also, means a person can faint during that state, because the blood actually is losing a very high quantity of sugar from it, which is known as hypoglycemic situation, and it can actually lead to very bad situation actually. So for like that particular reason, there is actually a antagonist to that of the insulin that exists, which is the glucagon. Now glucagon, it works just like opposite to that of the insulin, where insulin normally it leads like blood to lose the glucose because the cells are absorbing more glucose, whereas in this state it will be actually increase in the blood sugar level by bringing sugar from different sides, because if you remember, any food that we take in, it actually gets processed by the liver, it is sorted out and then being distributed to the entire body. So from the sugar, this process of glycogenolysis, in which glycogen is being broken down into sugar, and gluconeogenesis, where fat is getting converted to sugar, these two processes, it actually like distributes or actually dispense a very high dose of glucose into the blood coming out of the liver. That way the blood sugar level is increased, whereas in the case of insulin, just the opposite will take place. There will be conversion of sugar into, means gluconeogenesis process will actually take place, in which there will be which is usually like formation of glucose from fat. It will actually be the reverse process, in which it will get converted into fat in other way, means more and more production of stored food will actually takes place. So glycogenosis will also be seen a very high amount, because that is our reserve food. So glycogen production will increase when insulin will be there, whereas when glucagon will be there, glycogen will be broken down to glucose. So that way insulin is actually taking away sugar from the blood, and glucagon is actually dispensing more and more sugar into the blood. So that way glucagon is responsible for creating a hyperglycemic situation. So it is called a hyperglycemic hormone also. This is just to maintain the blood sugar level, because body has to work in a balanced state, a homeostatic state. So to maintain that homeostasis, this is what actually works, this is how it works. Insulin and glucagon working antagonistically to each other and maintaining the level of sugar in the blood. Next gland will be the adrenal gland. So adrenal is actually like a structure which can be found present on top of the both the kidney, and it is it is sometimes being referred to as a suprarenal gland because of that particular reason being present in the upper surface of the kidney. You can see it's being uh, pointed out here, the kidney, on top of it we find this one and sorry this one and this particular like two structure, the adrenal glands are present there. And adrenal gland, if we do the cross section of it, we are going to find that it actually has this two region, the inner darker brownish reddish brownish color area called the adrenal medulla, and a comparatively yellowish area on the outermost side called the adrenal cortex. Now when this two area are being like studied anatomically, then we find that it also comprises of like zones and sections, of which the outermost side called the zona glomerulosa, the middle one called the zona fasciculata, and the inner one called the zona reticularis. That is actually the three layers of the adrenal cortex. Beyond this, the portion that we have are actually the adrenal medulla, made up of mainly chromaffin type of cells. So these are like the layer, the name of the layer, different layers of that of the cortex and this region. And it is actually each and every of the layer is responsible for production of a certain group of hormones from this particular gland. So majorly, like talking about the layers and the secretions that are going to come out from them, we are going to find that the adrenal medulla is responsible for secretion of the catecholamines type of hormones, and the peptides type the peptides type of hormones. Okay. Whereas when we talk about the cortex layer, we find there are different kinds of corticosteroids are actually coming out of there, called the corticoids. So the outermost, the zona glomerulosa, it actually produces the mineral corticoids. The middle layer, the zona fasciculata, called it secretes the glucocorticoids. And then we have the innermost layer, the zona reticularis, secreting the androgens. If you want to give you a brief idea about them, then actually this androgens, it somewhat behave like that of the uh, like sex hormone, we can say, because it is responsible for giving out some sort of secondary sexual character to the individual, mostly effective in case of the female. So these are responsible for creating secondary sexual character in female. It's not an exclusive feature, because in male also we find this is responsible for creating some character, because the hormones secreted from it actually behaves as a precursor for both the estrogen and the testosterone. It's mentioned here, as you can see. It's actually responsible for production of both of them, means it acts as a precursor for both of them. The glucocorticoids, on the other hand, like the cortisol and the cortisone type of hormone, they are actually responsible for regulating the blood sugar level. Means it actually mostly it responsible for metabolism of protein and lipid in such a way that it actually creates a precursor, like the acetyl CoA molecule actually it produces, even like glycogen being broken down to glucose, those glycogenolysis process, all of those things it actually regulates. And even it regulates the production of the RBC. The mineral corticoids, which are the aldosterone and the corticosterone group of like hormones, we are going to find them that they are responsible for regulating the electrolytic balance of the body. They simply regulate different electrolytic levels, the sodium, potassium level, chlorine level in the body. It actually majorly responsible for regulating that, because that ionic balance is quite important for our entire homeostatic situation of the body. So it regulates those things. Now um, it is considered that out of this all of the hormone, we see that the cortisol is somewhat is considered as a stress hormone, because whenever a person is living in a stressed situation, quite like hyper stressed situation, we can say, they actually the imbalance in the in the production of cortisol in their body, it affects their carbohydrate metabolism, and thus actually it has been seen that a person who's living in a stressful life, uh, like continuous stressful life, they tend to get a bit more fatty than the person who are not, because in their case the cortisol level it is found that it is beyond, or even in a wrong concentration in the body, which raises the blood sugar level, inducing more and more formation of glycogen and reserve fat in the body. Means accumulation of fat actually increases in those particular type of patients. Now, talking about the catecholamines, because we are not concerned about the peptides that are being secreted there, um, the catecholamines that are there, especially the epinephrine, which is also known by the name of adrenaline, is a very famous hormone, which is like people know that they are secreted so that the body can function like more efficiently than required, and is actually a very fast acting hormone. It is like one of the most fastest acting hormone that is there. A very tiny amount of it in the bloodstream can induce a very vast reaction to the entire body. and it is always it acts in a very like efficient manner in our body. Means whenever required a tiny amount being produced, a very efficient reaction it actually gives, or response actually it gives. Like for example, the way it acts, it's sometimes being considered as a superpower because it dilates the pupil, it increases our rate of breathing, it increases the cardiac rhythm, it stops intestinal mobility and thus absorption becomes more efficient. It activates glycogen muscular store, means whatever is there means in the muscles and all, its use is increased, blood pressure is increased, and thus the flow is also quite efficient. Body takes up all this sugar and everything quite efficiently. The rate of metabolism increases in every single cell. Thus, our entire body it functions in a very heightened state when there is adrenaline in the system. And due to this, in a stressful situation, the person can select whether to fight or to flight from the situation. Means either they stand their ground and defend their position, or they give away and retreat and run away from that particular situation. They remove themselves from that particular situation. So this response is what is mediated by the adrenaline gland, and even this adrenaline hormone, I mean. And not only that, there is one more thing that actually happen, which is it actually blocks the pain receptor. So that's why it has been noticed that a person who's in a stressful situation and is injured, they can opt to run away from the situation, even in that with that injury, because it's painful, but still they actually forget the pain and they run away. And usually we have always noticed that whenever we like ever if we have ever like have fallen into that such kind of situation or so, we have seen that the pain actually comes back late at night, and it's an intense pain usually, because the time the adrenaline actually is there in our body system, it takes a lot of time to clean out from it. So the moment the adrenaline is out of our body system, we find that whatever pain receptor it was blocking initially, now all are open, and thus we feel the intense pain at the night time when we are resting. Means actually it doesn't mean it has to be night time, but it's actually our body when it comes to rest, when the adrenaline is out of the system, at that particular moment we find this thing is happening. We have more pain in our body. It's because of the other activity of adrenaline. So it's a hormone which helps us to make that important decision of either fighting of the situation or to running away from it.